When the Titanic hits a wall at 1 miles an hour, what's gonna happen? Actually pretty comprehensive damage. No wonder it lost to an iceberg. So then what about 5 miles an hour? That should be a little more destructive, and it certainly is. Those people probably won't get a refund because this thing's gonna sink in a hurry. 30 miles an hour. This should be destructive. That's absolutely gonna destroy the boat. It even split in half and then the rear end crashed into the wall. I made a few alterations to make the boat a little bit quicker than it's supposed to be. It's kind of bending itself in half, so I have to accelerate in increments, and it broke the rear end off. So I need to accelerate gingerly to find out what happens when we hit the wall at 100 miles an hour. Even on like a little bit of speed, it's already breaking in the rear end. But we gotta be getting close to that wall. There we go. That's the kind of collision I wanted. Titanic versus the wall at 100 miles an hour, the wall wins. Now there is of course a way to make it go even quicker. I just need to manually pick up the ship and smash it into the wall. So this is ship versus wall at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It disintegrated. Like, the particles are flying through the air. The camera doesn't even know where to look because there's just no boat left. The shards went so fast they bounced off the edge of the world and are coming back. So today we're going to explore all sorts of different myths to see what this ship can stand up to. So we'll be exploring things like, can you submerge a boat and have it survive? When you pull it under the water, they float back to the surface. But can you pull it like all the way under and have it float back to the top? It doesn't necessarily appear so. See, the problem is the boat breaks completely in half right here. So no, based on this, you cannot pull a ship under the water and have it survive. The highest point a ship can be dropped from and still survive. There's 3 meters above the water. It should be pretty fine. Maybe got a little bath. We'll call that 5 meters. That might do a little bit of damage. It is a pretty big structure. It got a little bit of a drink, but it's still okay. Which makes me think that this height's gonna be a little bit too much. And now that I look at how high this actually is, this is more than a few meters. But you get the idea. The boat's gonna thaw, it's probably gonna break, but I've been pleasantly surprised before. It's actually still... Nope, the crack down the middle once again ruined our experiment. Well, this cable here is actually holding it together. This might actually still drive. Then again, maybe not. These smokestacks are probably pretty important in the integrity of the boat. But because I know people want to see this. The ship dropped from 100 meters. Absolutely wrecked. It even heads to the bottom of the ocean in a hurry at this point. And then there's a fan favorite lightspeed impact where we give the ship a little bit of gravity assist and it disintegrates into particles, never to be seen again. It smacked the water so hard some of the pieces bounced off the water and back into orbit. Apparently you can cut a boat in half and it still functions, so we're going to try that. First we're going to start with hot dog style and cut it right there. That seems to maybe actually work. It's still moving somehow. Well, somewhat. It was a pretty rough half cut to be fair, but the boat's still moving. That actually works. And we cut off the more important part, but it's still going. I don't like the odds of whoever's left on board, but at least I lived a little bit longer than the other side. That surprisingly was confirmed. I'm pretty sure if I cut it in half the other way, it absolutely falls apart in an instant because that cuts the power. It does still float for the time being, probably because the watertight compartments, but it's out of power. So what if we cut it down a little lower? Last time we aimed for roughly half. This time let's go for way less. Let's go for roughly 90%. It breaks in half, but it thought about surviving that for a second. We turned it into a submarine. Okay, it lost power and it's now sinking to the bottom in 3 separate parts. How big of a drop into the water can a boat survive? Say we make a little bit of a dip like that and let it go. Will the boat be okay? On one this big, probably. It will just kind of dive its nose in but be perfectly fine. But I never know what's going to break this thing. Sometimes it's wildly brittle, sometimes it's really tough. So let's try when it's a little bigger. Let's go like that, and then the boat's probably actually going to have to do a little bit of a drop. So we'll let that go there. It is going to hit that for a moment, but that's okay because that's just going to be more fun for it. Okay, that submerged the bow and destroyed it entirely. Okay, lesson learned, we needed to have a bigger area because ships are big. So while it's starting to accelerate, we're going to go over here and pull the water down maybe here. Because I feel like if it doesn't dive bomb straight into a giant wave, it's going to have a better chance of surviving. We might just have to actually hold it here because as soon as I let this go, it's going to fly up with a wave. So we're going to have to wander back towards the boat a little bit. That's moving toward us. It feels like it's not moving, but the boat's actually going very quickly. So let's see if it can survive this drop. We'll go take a little zoom in. So it's going to dive down. That was about the depth of like the boat itself, and that also broke it. Not by a ton. I mean, the people on board weren't destroyed instantly, but they're probably pretty freaked out right now. And then when the water catches back up, it turns the boat into a submarine. But for the sake of taking things to the extreme, let's pull the water down as far as we possibly can. I don't exactly have high hopes of this boat, but if it can actually have that end and land fairly level, it might actually have something of a chance of surviving this. So with just a little bit of luck, there's even a landing over here. Okay, it's about to fly off a rather big drop, but if it does it gently, very gently, I don't like its trajectory so far. It's got a submarine and it broke in the middle. It really likes to break in the middle. Slight design flaw. Well, it's obviously going to be extra dead once that tidal wave hits it, but it'll probably sink right below it. And we can obviously do the same with tsunamis, which is pretty much what this game is for. And we've all seen it a million times. A little wave does pretty much nothing. Whereas a bigger wave will give it a little bit of a drink, probably wash the decks off a little bit. It left some water behind, but the boat's still perfectly fine with this. It's not till you start to really ramp it up that the boat starts to struggle with things. This one is probably fine, but it could probably pump that water out. It's also going to have some trouble because it's catching up to the wave headed in the other direction. But this would be a good one. Can you balance the boat like on a wave? We're going to ride the wave. The people on board are probably getting a nice shower they didn't want. And it started to break, but it did actually climb right over that, which is pretty impressive. Oh, it's dead. But structurally intact. But since it's dead in the water, we can also have fun with pulling a tidal wave on either side so they smack together right in the middle. That's always fun. It's breaking before the waves even got there. What is this garbage? What happens when waves hit each other? Oh, it makes a bigger wave. That's interesting. They ride each other. Also, we're probably going to demolish the ship even worse like this because it's going to fold that end over and they're going to fold together like a V. I think. I'm no physicist, but bad things are going to happen to this boat. Oh, mega wave. Look at that. I actually thought there would be a lot worse for the ship. I mean, it wasn't good for the ship, but we've destroyed it a lot worse than this. But there is also a setting where you can trigger a tsunami. It makes an earthquake and then launches a tsunami, which is actually bigger than the waves we can make by a lot. So we're going to drive the boat full speed ahead into that. Can a boat simply survive a tsunami? I'm going to guess no, but I've been surprised before. It's probably going to point upwards and then split in half like it always does because it's the weakest ship in existence. So there it goes, going up, and it's splitting. And it's going to fly right back out again. That is a pretty cool effect though. But that kind of gives me a fun idea. I think I could still make a bigger wave. So I need to start the boat's engine, place it down here where it's hopefully not going to do anything crazy. Then I need to pause it. We're going to use the wave maker. We got to unpause it to do that. And we're going to make a much, much bigger wave. That's going to work out actually perfectly. This isn't really a good experiment. We know what the outcome's going to be. It's just going to be fun to watch because the ship's going to try and go up there because it's buoyant. And it's going to break in half long before it gets there. Or maybe it'll hold it together better because it's in the water. It's almost held that together. Once its front end got up, it got too much weight pulling down, but that was a lot closer than I thought it would be. That's very strange. Can a ship get struck by lightning and survive? A modern ship? I hope so. A ship that's 100 years old? Apparently, yeah, it's perfectly fine. There's even a hotkey to do that. So, oh, we can strike lightning in a bunch of places. Okay, that one might have hit it. So I guess on that note, we can also find out if a boat can survive on fire. And so far, yes, but I have a feeling that might change. It's about to lose its flagpole. Well, I've successfully managed to light a boat on fire and it's still going along perfectly fine. So I would say yes, you can strike a boat with lightning and it'd still be fine. How much lightning though? I don't know. We might be able to sink it with lightning at the same time. We've hit the other mast, so we've got 2 fires on board. I don't think the lightning affects the boat aside from that. Do you think we can put it out? We gotta get a really big wave to go across the boat really, really quickly. And then our secondary wave is probably gonna break it. But that's an interesting one in itself. Can you put an on-fire boat out with waves and it still survive? Okay, I got that one out. Got that. Okay, that one came back on fire. Let's try it again. Okay, it needs a bigger soak. Got it. Nope, that thing's gonna stay on fire. We need a couple waves to balance it out. Oh, a little more in the front. It's gonna get unbalanced. Oh, we got the rear fire out. Oh, we got both fires out. We did it. We broke the boat in doing it, but I think that's doable. Nothing to worry about. Our boat was struck by lightning and lit on fire, but I put it out with waves and it's still floating. So what happens if we add some fire lower down? Is there anything else we can light on fire? Basically, the question here is how much of a boat can you light on fire before it becomes a problem? Oh wait, the smokestacks do start to fall off. Oh, the fire does spread. It's just very slow. It's a slow death for once. This will be a good one. How many bombs can you place on your boat and it still work? Okay, so we're going to start the engines and get the boat moving. And these are apparently timed bombs. Now, obviously it matters where we're going to put them on the boat. And I haven't messed with them at all. These are stock size bombs. So we'll see what one does for now. That's pretty comprehensive damage right away. It might be okay, but it's not great. And we know that if we cut the boat in half here, it dies. So you could probably stick a bomb up here fairly easily and that won't be too bad. Honestly, at this point, it might actually help the boat because of what's going on up here. We need to lose the dead weight. So 2 bombs for sure. Again, you could put 2 right here and it's probably perfectly fine, but this isn't the most scientific experiment. Just don't tell anyone. Okay, 3 bombs was the limit on that scenario. But let's try it a little more like how I said. If we put like, you could probably put 5-6 bombs here and it's really going to destroy that bow. But as long as the engine and center of the boat are okay, I think it's okay. I'm also not sure if they blow each other up. Okay, that actually had more of an effect than I thought. Well, now I'm just taking this personally. How many bombs can I put on here without it destroying? Can I go like that? We don't need smokestacks. The smoke will come out anyway. It'll find a way out. That might have just been too much force and shockwaves to the boat. Yeah, 3 bombs seems to sort of be a limit. Maybe if we disperse them a little bit, like, I don't know that. You could probably put one up there. That's technically on the ship. The one at the rear might blow up the engine though and just stop it dead. Yeah, that killed the engine, and somehow folded the entire boat up really badly. So the answer to how many bombs can you put on a Titanic is not very many. But then how big of a bomb can it survive? Because we know the size of the regular bomb, particularly in the middle, is probably going to be really hard on the boat. It did not survive even that. Okay, I just made the bomb twice as powerful. Its blast radius isn't any bigger, but the bomb is twice as strong in its little zone. That's probably more so for the tears it's going to send up and down. Twice as big. Not really actually that big of a difference. So let's make it 10 times as strong as the starting bomb. I don't know if it's going to make a difference because the radius is just sort of, it blows up the same hole. It just blows the same hole harder. And yeah, okay, that might have made like a minor difference, but either way it destroys the boat. But if you're going to do anything, you might as well do it right. So this is the max size blast, max size everything. I feel like it's probably going to finish the boat off in a really big way. Yep, that's pretty comprehensive. We didn't get this string up top, but I don't think that's going to be enough to hold the boat together at this point. I think 30,000 people just died in an instant. Can the boat survive upside down? Now, that actually sounds stupid, but there might be some merit to that. So I think what I need to do is put the boat way up here somewhere, then try and swirl it so it's upside down, and then catch it when it's completely upside down and put it back in the water. That's not going to work at all. Though I didn't know you could split the boat in half in midair like that, so that's actually really satisfying to me. Can you destroy a boat using only the wind? Pretty sure I'm going to be able to manage this one. I will be able to destroy the boat. We're going to set it to full speed. Off it goes. I don't think you can see this, but you can actually see the wind speed in either direction. So we can turn it up to 100 in this direction, and it causes waves and the boat to destroy right away. That's actually really not hard to do. Yeah, unsinkable ship got destroyed by air. So we're going to put the wind the other way now, so it should be blowing it forward with it, kind of like a sailboat. It doesn't really like that. No matter which way the wind goes, the wind absolutely destroys it. You can balance a boat on top of a spike, and we can make a pretty fine spike. I could definitely see how this one is feasible, but it's going to depend on just how many spikes we use. I don't know if it's going to sit on one, because I don't know how balanced this actually is, or why the camera moved. That definitely splits it on half very quick, but it was a very sharp spike. Maybe it was just a little too rough when I put it down. So maybe if I just kind of ease it onto it just a little bit and let it go there. Will it stay there? Nope, it's going to tear it right in half. 2 spikes might actually be enough. They're very sharp at the top, so same difference. So we just kind of set it something like that, and the spikes might dig into it a little bit, and it still breaks in half. Alright, I'm now predicting 3 to 5 spikes will support the weight of the Titanic. 3 spikes? They're not really evenly placed, but they're hard to see, in my defense. 3 spikes is so close to doing it. If you just had a little more support up front, or even move this spike over. So let's give it a little bit of support up the front, and we'll fix that spike and pretend that didn't happen. We'll go something like that. That might give it the support it needs. I didn't mean to drop that from as high as I did, but that works. It's stuck right on there. We have a flying ship. Well, it kind of breaks through eventually, but that kind of gives me an idea. The spikes are a little bit sharp. I think if I dull them a bit, that'll actually sit there. Like if I kind of take the top of the spike and make it just a little wider. Didn't mean to go that wide, but you get the idea. Well, there's sort of a minimum width, so this is what we get. So if we just place my dear little Titanic up there, that should sit there reasonably nicely. Then we're going to trigger a tsunami, which may or may not be high enough to take that right off of there. Looks like it'll touch it. I don't know if it's going to take it down or not. The tsunami better hurry because the ship is currently dismantling itself as it is. I don't know if this tsunami is actually going to go through rock either, now that I think about it. But that could be interesting if we could play with some of those effects. The boat, for the most part, has already destroyed itself, but I take no blame for that whatsoever. And it looks like a tsunami will not really take the boat off of there. The only thing that can remove the boat is the boat. But I'm kind of curious if I lower those down and do a bigger one of these. Okay, I made a little bit of a better holder for the boat. Not really now that I look at it, but whatever, that's fine. It can sit there. It's probably going to break, but tsunami time. We're going to make a really, really, really long tsunami that will kind of hopefully pick it up, and we're even going to try and go higher than that, but we're only pulling it from one spot for some reason. That's a new problem, but whatever. We'll see if that's going to knock it off its little perch or not. So far, it's just gently caressing the side of the boat. It is rocking it forward just slightly, so I think if I had a bigger wave, it would actually knock it off. Well, the tidal wave is getting closer, but so is the wave I've created. I didn't really look at how big of a wave we made. That thing's absurd. I wonder if you can just continually make waves bigger this way. I have a lot of questions that I don't yet have answers for. I can't really let go of this wave yet, but I guess I'm going to have to in a way. So we're going to go ahead and split that and see if this giant wave is going to be enough to take the boat off of there. It might just sink it because the boat might physically be stuck into the rocks. I was hoping it would kind of yank it upwards. So far it's just tearing the boat in half. But this is all this boat does. Anytime you do anything, even if you just look at this thing, it tears itself in half. I decided to create another water monster. This one's another big one. We're going to let that wave go there because we're actually getting closer to Titanic. So for a little bit of scale and reference, the wave is this big. Normally the biggest wave you could make is approximately that big. But also that started way high up. So I feel like this is going to be a fun experiment because I've never had a wave anywhere close to this big, and this is the Titanic. And the wave's approaching from behind. The boat's probably not as suited to doing it that way, but who are we to complain? We're about to watch good things unfold. So it's going to start to lift it up. The ship's not nearly as buoyant as it should be for a boat. But that's okay, it's slowly making its way upward. It's getting a little waterlogged, but it'll make its way to the surface any minute now. It's buoyant on the front right now, but I feel like it's going to torpedo straight downward soon because it's very heavy on the back. Thanks to it filling with water for reasons that I can't quite determine yet. I don't really know what to make of it. The boat survived. Like, the boat's actually pretty intact. It got electrocuted, but it's also pretty waterlogged, and now it's a little bit broken. All thanks to the 40,000 foot tall wave. I turned some of the dials up. I'm not entirely sure what some of them do, but look how strong the ship is now. I can even smash it into the water. It bends like a banana, but it doesn't break. It does fill with water, though. But this is pretty close to indestructible because it's not breaking, it's just filling with water, and things don't break when they fill with water. Okay, next we're going to take it up into the air a little bit. That way when we let it go, we can really smash it down at high speed. So down it goes. We're going to follow it down. It's going towards the water at very high speed, and it survived. It moved a lot of water. Okay, so let's really give it some downforce, and it turned into a black hole. It launched something out of it, though, curiously. So the ship's very tough, but it's not indestructible. Do we think it pancakes better on land or water? Let's find out. Okay, that's going with some definite speed, and that landed probably as good as the water. It still holds together. It's got tensile strength. It just doesn't have, like, you know, the crushing strength. Can we use a stronger ship with bombs? Will the bombs have less an effect, or will they still blow it up? There we go. Yeah, those did little bombs, so the boat actually does get stronger. A storm happened to roll in as I was trying to make another mega tsunami, but that kind of sets the tone for this, because we got the indestructible ship-ish versus a ginormous tsunami. And you know what? That boat's going to plow straight into it. Why not? It might have the power to just cruise right on up and through it, or it might submerge and fill with water very quickly, as the Titanic loves to do. Just about at the point of impact now, so we'll see what actually happens with this. So far it's taken on a lot of water, but it is headed for the surface. It knows where freedom is. It's lost power, but it's busting through. It's magnificent. Can it jump right out of the water? Nope, not quite. One final disappointment for this big stupid boat. It didn't break though, and it almost punched through, and that's impressive considering the size of this wave. But it didn't ultimately survive, so it's gonna get pancaked. The end.